Can everybody hear me okay? Can you let me know? That'd be good. Uh, Evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All good? Okay, great. Yeah, I wanted to have a show. Basically, wanted to kind of find out a little bit more about how people feel about next season. Also, how you feel about players' contracts, and possibly talk a little bit about stuff that's now coming out about players that are at the club, players that weren't wanted, players that are now pushing for moves, um, ex-managers, ex-assistant managers that are now going on and doing interviews saying that they were close to being offered the job, and just a malaise and menage of stuff that's just happening, which is starting to kind of annoy me. When we just need to be concentrating on the new guy, who's in Liverpool. Um, there's a photo from someone in a restaurant, who's a chef, that took a selfie with him yesterday. So he's on Merseyside, so he does exist, and it looks like this is happening. And it's also quite interesting the fact that it's now come out that Todd Bowley tried to get him last season, to instead of Poch, which is interesting, because now Poch is gone, and it could have been a completely different scenario with Chelsea last season if they had Arnie Slot. Like, they could have finished above us. Like, who knows? But it's quite interesting that he's now a man that was wanted by a lot of people, and there's people that are saying that he's not good enough for us, and slot out and all this mad stuff. But it looks like he was good enough for quite a few other clubs, especially Tottenham and Chelsea. Um, so that's kind of where I want to go. I also wanted to do like a screen share and maybe just look at players in particular, and just have a look at how they performed last season, and also what you think about them for next season. Do you think they're good enough? Do you think they're going to have a good uh, next season under Slot? Do you think maybe they might need a move, or they might need a loan, or whatever? But I wanted to go into a bit more detail about that. Um, I've obviously done a couple of shows recently, talking about players, talking about the reason why we didn't win the league, talking about individuals, in particular Diaz, Nunes, and Trent. And I've kind of gone into a lot of detail about that, and they do split the fan base. Um, I'm not really sure how they split the fan base or why they split the fan base, but they just do. Like, like if you just isolate one person, for example, okay, so you look at just one person in particular, yeah. So you've got a team of 11 players on the pitch, and if you're going to change the way you play football to accommodate one person because they want to play in a certain position, yeah, or they don't want to do something which they're in the team to do in that position, as in defend, and you change the whole system of your play and the way you play football, and you also take away some of the capabilities of some of the players around that person because they have to cover for that person. And then you also have a situation where you give two players more things to do, as in you give them a harder job in their team because they have to cover for that person. Tell me how that's a good thing. Just tell me how that is a good thing. Like, just for example, if you go into work, yeah, and you're working in a team, and you've got one guy that doesn't want to work, and everyone covers for him for the team, yeah, and that guy still gets paid, how does that not become a problem? Because you're all stood there working your ass off, and some people working twice as much as others for this one guy to just saunter around the place, like not doing anything in particular that's any good, and also not working hard and not doing his job, and you're supposed to be okay with that. Like, that's a problem. And the biggest problem I've got is that can't happen next season. Like, the new manager has got a hard enough job, as in managing Liverpool FC as a coach, sorry, head coach, not manager, as coming in and being the head coach of Liverpool FC and basically following on from a guy that fully grown men are still crying over. Okay? That's a hard enough job. Like, you have fully grown men who are crying over the guy that's left, and you have people that are crying for a statue for him. Like, no, he's got a hard enough job as it is. For him to then come in and to make things easy for Trent because he wants them to be easy, yeah, because he wants to play in midfield, or because he wants to be this guy that the world revolves around. No, Slot needs to come in, and the first thing he needs to do is say, if you're not playing as a right back and you're not signing a new contract, then you're getting sold. And that's what needs to happen. And people need to put their big pants on and understand that we're a better team without him as a inverted right back. And that's just a fact. We won more things and we played better when he wasn't playing in that position. And that is just a fact. It just is. Like, everything works better when he's doing his frigging job as a right back in a right back position, because you haven't got Canate pulling bloody hamstrings and breaking himself and basically making himself look shit for the last 2 seasons because he's covering for Trent. And then you haven't signed the player for 60 million. 60 million quid you signed Dominic Szoboszlai for, and you broke him because he was covering for Trent, because he was running up and down doing 12 miles every game, not doing what he's good at, which is creating, dribbling, and scoring worldies, because he was covering for Trent. And the reason why Henderson is so amazing, because Henderson didn't mind doing that job, because Henderson didn't do anything else really. Like, he was really good at closing people down, breaking down avenues, like stopping the ball from going past players, passing the ball, just simple passes. Henderson was really good. He was an engine. He was good at that. Okay. But Henderson wasn't covering for Trent when he was doing inverted, because Henderson was there when Trent was just playing as a right back. And that's just a fact. Just a fact. Like, we have not been a good team since he started playing inverted. And it kind of brings me on to the next guy who's actually in the actual subject bar, which is, let's talk about ex-staff. Pep and Linders. How do we feel about this guy? Are we glad to see the back of him? I've got 8 people in here. I've got 10 people in here, actually. Can you tell me a yes or no? Are you glad to see the back of Pep and Linders? Because Pep and Linders should have left the club after the failed quad season. That's when Jurgen should have had a change. He should have had a change around. He should have known the same message is being heard over and over again. I have got too many people that keep on saying the same stuff to the players. They're not listening anymore. I need to have some new staff. He should have got rid of Pep and Linders. He should have got rid of him. But he didn't. He kept him. And what happened? The team basically evolved into his team. Like, we started signing players that he would sign. He had a bet of his year's wages to play Trent as an inverted. For me, he's fucking ruined Trent. He's ruined him. Like, for me, Trent's now a scapegoat. Like, there's a lot of fans that want Trent to be sold. Like, like that's Pep and Linda's fault. It's Pep and Linda's for getting in Trent's ear. Pep and Linda's for thinking he knows it all. Like, and he just doesn't. Like, he was third choice pick for the Salzburg job. The first choice pick turned them down and went to Saudi Arabia. The second choice pick went to their rivals. He went to their rivals. Pep and Linds was the third choice. Like, and he can go there. He can go there. Like whatever. Like, if you don't win the league there, mate, you get sacked. Like RB Salzburg have won the league for like 20 years in a row. Like, like it's like PSG. Like, you don't, PSG or Bayern Munich, you have to win the league or you get sacked. Simple as that. So Pep Linders needs to win the league. If he doesn't, he gets sacked. I don't care. I'm not going to lose any sleep over him. Like, I'm fed up of hearing the guy. I'm fed up of reading interviews that he's done. Like, I've never seen an assistant manager for any club have so much media coverage than this guy. I just haven't. And like, the way he was trying to milk his celebration that he was leaving, like just piss off. Like, just leave us. Like, we're an absolute mess for the last 2 years because of you. Like, and we all know that it is you because you've told us a million times that it is you. Like, you're sat there doing press conferences. Like, how many assistant managers do press conferences for other clubs? Zero. Like, you just don't see it. It's unheard of. It's very weird. It's very weird. And I'm so glad that the adults are back now. Like, the club's now getting run by adults again. Like, the club's getting run by people that actually understand business. They actually understand acronym. They actually understand when things need to be changed. Like, they understand these things. Like, they're businessmen. Like, they're people that don't think that, oh, as long as we're all having a good time and we're all having a laugh and everyone's happy with each other, then everything's fine. No, because it's not. Because it's not fine. Because it's turning to shit. Because we play crap. We concede too many goals. Like we rely too much on certain individuals. Like, we're breaking all our players. Like, we're not getting contracts done when we should be. Like, we're literally giving buyout clauses on players which are less than what we paid for them. Like, we're literally keeping players at the club when they're way beyond their age and they don't actually play for the club anymore. So they're just sat there. Like, we're literally letting players walk out the club for free, like, and losing huge amounts of value. Like, the adults are back now. Like, the adults are back at the club. And if they see a problem, they'll fix it. And the old guys just didn't fix it. They didn't fix things when they were broken because they were too wrapped up in their little happy families and playing patty cake on the football pitch. And God knows what they were doing in training. Like, maybe they were just watching movies. Maybe they had like a cinema room in there because they certainly weren't watching previous games and they certainly weren't watching set pieces and they weren't watching patterns of play and they weren't watching the other teams and what they would do because we just did the same thing over and over again and we just carried on playing 4-3-3 with inverted, give it to Trent, he passes it to Salah and we hope for the best. And that's what happened for 2 years. That's just a fact. Anyway, I've seen a lot of comments there, and it looks like everybody wanted him to go. Well, according to his interview, he said that he nearly got the job. And I'm going to share this now, actually, because this kind of blew my mind. So, according to Pep Linders, he reveals contact with FSG over the manager's job. Yep, and I'm going to share this now because this is very interesting from the guy that never shuts his face. Okay. Okay. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Hang on, let me just move my head out of the way. There we go. Yep. So with Pep now confirmed by taking the manager's job, speaking to The Athletic, Linders has now revealed that he had been really considered for the job. The coach recalled how FSG president Mike Gordon phoned him in early February to say, Pep, we really considered you, but I think it's fair for you that we don't put you after Jurgen. Does anyone think that that was them just letting him down lightly? Or do you or does he really believe? I mean, the guy literally smokes his own trumpet. Like, do you really think that Mike Gordon was actually going to give the job to him? I totally agree. I totally agree with what you say there, Uckred. Gordon blowing smoke up his arse, he was never considered. I don't think he was ever on the list. I just don't think he was ever on the list. Like, I genuinely believe that Gordon was just letting him down lightly. Like, there's no way. Like, after the way we played over the last 2 seasons, which was basically Pep's formation and basically Pep's team. Like, the last couple of players we've signed are all Linda's signings. Like, all Linda's signings. That's a good one though, Redbird. More like Pep asked if he could be our next manager, and they said hell no. 100%, 100%, and that's a really good point as well. Like, how was the medical team allowed to continue? I know, totally get it. I totally get that. Like, it is quite insane. Um, yeah, I mean, I mean, Pep can now go to RB Salzburg and play as inverted and break all his players and and finish second and get sacked next year. Crack on, mate. Like, I lose no sleep over you. If anyone bought his book, then good on you, because you made the guy a millionaire. Anyway, so I mean, the other thing I wanted to kind of talk about as well was, yeah, I mean, IBR Stella, absolutely. Like, is the reason why we played inverted right back, 100%, like 100%. I mean, yeah, the consensus is pretty much there in it. Like, everybody's quite happy. I'm just glad we're going to have, like, we're going to have press conferences that aren't like 17 minutes long and you don't understand anything that was said in the press conference. It's madness. Um, we also wanted to touch on the whole Trent thing as well. Like, I've heard so much talk about, like, oh, he's probably done a gentleman's agreement, like, Trent, Trent loves Liverpool. Like, he's such a fan. He's the vice captain. He's this. He's that. Trent's 25. In fact, Trent's 24, by the way. Still 24. He's won everything with Liverpool. Okay, Jurgen Klopp brought him into the club, made him a superstar. When he first started, like he got his first contract, I think when he was 19, and he was on 40 grand. He went from 40 grand to 180 grand when he was 22. So he had his bump from 40 grand to 180 grand a week when he was 22. Trent now wants to be paid the highest paid player at Liverpool. That's Mo Salah on a 360 grand. That's almost double his wages. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, nobody deserves to double their wages. Oh, is he 26? Sorry. I don't know why I said that. 25, sorry. 25, 26, yeah. Okay. Yeah, like, nobody deserves to double their wages at any club. Like, they just don't. Like, and does anyone feel he deserves to be on the same amount of wages as Salah? Because if we just break it down, yeah, for the last 2 seasons, yeah, Salah's got more assists than Trent. Salah's got more goals than Trent. Salah's played more than Trent. Salah's created more than Trent. Like, shouldn't the guy that's basically been the top goal scorer for the last 7 years at the club and also the most assist creator at the club in the last 7 years, shouldn't that guy be on the highest wages? Shouldn't that guy be the one who deserves a bigger contract? Like, this guy's regressed. Like, this guy's gone from seven assists a year. Like, this guy's gone from 7 assists a year down to 3 last year. Like, the year just gone. Like, 3 assists. Sorry, 5 assists. So he's regressed. So he's not creating as much. He's not he's scoring more goals. Yeah, but what does that matter? Like, what does that really matter? Like you've got your right back scoring what 2 more goals than normal. So the conversation is, if you think you're worth that much money, then you go to another club where they can pay you that much money, and that's the conversation to have. Is Trent now looking at Real Madrid as the cash? Like, well, I'm not going to double my wages at Liverpool. Like, we'd be mad to give him the same amount of money as Salah, because he doesn't deserve it. He just doesn't deserve it. I mean, there's only 2 players at the club who deserve the same amount of money as Salah, and that's Virgil van Dijk, because he's the captain and he's been the best player, like, at Liverpool since we signed him, probably every single season. I mean, even on a bad season, he's still good. And then, Ali, because he's the best goalkeeper in the world, like, and has been for 5-6 years. So it's like, they're the people who deserve top wages. The guy who's been iffy in and out, like Bradley came in this season, and people were like, "Do we really need Trent anymore? Like, we play better without him." Like, that's a conversation to be had. Like, and the crazy thing is, Trent's never been out the team. So the time he does drop out of the team, the guy who comes in excels him and looks so much better than him, and he's scoring goals. Like, scored a goal and got 3 assists in his first, like, 4 games, and you're like looking at it thinking, like, what's that about? Like, is he that good? And that's the interesting thing because he's got 1 year left on his contract and he's not asking for a new one. He's just not. And his best mate plays at Real Madrid, and if he walks around thinking like he's a Galactico, like he swans around the pitch at Liverpool thinking he's a Galactico, and Pep and Linders and Klopp basically let him have carte blanche and let him have this free role, and probably put it in his head that he is a Galactico because of the way he's been treated. And for me, I mean, if you think you're a Galactico, mate, then go and sign for them, like, and see how the grass is greener. Like, maybe he's just not with. He's just his heart's not with it anymore. Like he's won everything. The guy who's made him a superstar has left. Like he might want to leave with him, but if he turns around and says, "I'm going to run my contract down," and you've got his brother who's his agent going around calling him Trent McManaman on Twitter, like, I'm sorry, like, but you're disrespecting the club for me. The club's made you what you are. The club gave you a chance when you were 18. Like, I don't care if you want to play midfield. You're not a midfielder, mate. Like, you might as well play Ali in midfield if you're going to play Trent there, because okay, they can pass a ball. like, there's nothing else you could do that's midfield that what midfielders do. Like, you're not good on close control. You're not good under pressure. There's so many things that midfielders are good at. Spatial awareness. Like, yeah, you can pass a ball, but you're not always going to have the time to kick a ball 40 yards from midfield when you've got two guys who are on top of you, like literally closing you out the game. Like, it's just not going to happen. So, on Slot can't be suckered into this guy and giving him what he wants again, and giving him carte blanche to basically change the way he plays, because Arne Slot isn't going to come in and change the way he plays. Like, he needs to be solid with his morals. He needs to be 100% with what he wants to do. Like, that's the reason why we got him. We can't be having a Ten Hag who goes, well, I'm going to come to the club and I'm going to bring Ajax with me. And then he comes to Man United and doesn't play anything like Ajax play and just plays long ball to Rashford. And that's it. Like, you can't be losing those values. He needs to bring everything that he's learned and everything that he does in the game and bring it to Liverpool and put it into a Liverpool team. And by giving Trent the rule of the roost and letting him dictate where he wants to play and how he wants to play, that's not good enough. That's not going to get you anything. It's going to get you third place again and possibly a cup final, and we're going to concede goals and we're going to look shaky at the back and we're going to break all our players and we're going to play players out of position to cover for one guy. Like, for me, like, and I say this with a heavy heart, like, Trent's been insane for us, but if he doesn't play right back next season and he doesn't sign a new 4-year contract, then we sell him to Real Madrid for 100 million when we probably could have got more for him in the past. But he cannot run down his contract. We could not be having players leave the club on free transfers. It just can't happen anymore. Like, we lost 4 in one season and they all just walked out the door. We've just had another 2 that have just walked out the door. Like, Joel Matip was a free transfer anyway, and he's probably the best free transfer in Premier League history for me. Absolutely incredible player. But Thiago, we spent over 80 million on transfer fees and wages on Thiago, and we had less than 100 games out of the guy. Like, You've got Keita, who cost us 60 million. You've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, who cost us 40 million. You know, these players, like, they cost money and they just walked out the door. You know, even Ginny Wijnaldum walked out the door. Like, you know, with Edwards and Hughes, these things won't happen again. Players will be sold when they need to be sold, and we won't be having these daft 2-year contracts. Like Trent got a 2-year contract a couple of years ago. Like a 2-year contract. Like get him tied down for 5 years. Like you put a little caveat on there for an extra 2 years. Like, we're in a situation now where we've got 3 of our best players, 3 of our biggest assets, captain, vice captain, and potentially the other captain, all on 1-year contracts. It's mental. It's absolutely mental how we've let that happen. But that's what happens when you have your coach becoming the manager and running the club, and you also have a director of football who's his mate, who he goes to rock concerts with, who's garbage, who got sacked. He got sacked because he wasn't good enough at being a director of football from his previous club. And he's basically being a director of football from a villa in Ibiza. Like he's not even in the country. Like part-time, whatever he was doing. Like some of the decisions that were made were just insane. And we can sit here now and we can go through the entire structure of Liverpool now, from top to bottom. Who's doing what and what they're there to do. And this has been put in place since Edwards came in the space of 4 months. And we've had 3.5 years, 4 years, and we haven't really known what anyone was doing. Like, if you can honestly sit there and say, well, I know exactly what that guy was doing, and I know what this guy was doing at Liverpool, that's just not true, because you just didn't, because it was turmoil. And it was a case of, well, if the manager didn't like it, then it wouldn't get done. And then they might ask to leave. The guy who was the guy who was trained to replace Edwards left after a year because the fitness coach who's left wouldn't let him do his job. I'm like, that's madness. Like, that's absolute madness that all of these people had this power struggle in the club. And for some reason, if you were German, you got away with it. Like, if you were German, you were fine. If you were German or Dutch, you were okay. Like, what? And you wonder why Buvac left. And you wonder why the guy, nicknamed the Eye, left the club. Sorry, not the Eye, the Mind. Buvac was named the Mind. And you wonder why he left the club. Anyway, interesting stuff. I'll just throw it out to the chat. Would you take 100 million for Trent? Yes or no? Would you take 100 million for Trent? Yes or no? Oh, the brain. That's it. Big up. Big up, mate. Big up. It was the brain. What did I say? The mind. The eye, the mind, the brain. Okay, I was close. All I needed to say was the ear. What was Linda's called? The ball bag. Under Buvac, we played the best football. Under Buvac, we played heavy metal football. That's what we played. Buvac left, and it turned into, I don't know, soft rock. I don't know. Interesting. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Like I'll tell you what I want. I want to go into a football match. I want to watch a football match and just have the feeling that we were in control of the game. Just have a feeling that, you know what, we scored a goal, we're going to be okay. Like, we're okay. We're 1-0 up. We're fine. Like, you know, we're 1-0 up. We've got a good chance of going 2-0 up. Like, and I don't. Like, even if the game's 2-0, I still feel like it can be drawn, and that's insane. Like, genuinely, how many matches did you watch this season where you watch the game and we were winning 2-0 and you still felt that the other team could equalize? Like, how many games? I can name probably about 5 games this season that we were 2-0 up and I felt like we could have drawn the game. Like, that's just insane. But that's exactly how the football was played. Like, it was that kind of way of playing football where we'd leave ourselves so wide open that we could easily draw the game. And I just don't want that. I don't want that to happen under the next manager. I don't want that under new management. Like, I want there to be an element of control. I want to feel that we're controlling the game and the opposition is going to leave themselves open for us to then score a goal or create another chance. And I just feel like the last 2 years, it's really close all the time. Like, it's not a coincidence that Ali gets injured. Ali gets injured because he's just overworked and he's just doing too much. Like, that's just a fact. Like, and then you bring Keller in, and then Keller is pulling off the same kind of saves Ali makes, like just incredible world-class saves, like in games. And you're like, how is that happening? Like, surely if you've got a goalkeeper which is weaker than the original goalkeeper, then the team plays more conservative and they play more defensive minded to protect the weaker link, which is the goalkeeper. Or even the fact that we lost Robinson and we had to play Gomez in there. You play more conservative to cover for the deficiencies that you have, which is a weaker goalkeeper and a weaker left back. But we didn't. We just played the same way and conceded the same type of goals, and had to rely on the goalkeeper over and over again, and Virgil over and over again. And you just look at that and think, like, that just shouldn't happen. Like, you should have a guy in charge and a coaching staff to just identify that problem and go, well, hang on a minute, let's not play 2 at the back. Like, let's not play the high line. Let's drop 5 yards back. Let's put an extra guy in there. Let's give ourselves more protection. But it just never happens. It just never happened. And I just want that to be something that's going to change now. And just to have someone who's got the sense and the sensibility and the tactical awareness to see the problems that are occurring. Oh, you know what? We keep on getting done on the right-hand side. You know that gap there where Trent's not there anymore? They keep on putting the ball down there. We need to get someone over there, or we need to bring Trent back into the right back position to cover that, or we need to bring a midfielder over, or maybe we just need to take Salah off and put a guy in there which is going to track back. Like, those little nuances, which is really not that difficult to notice, but that's kind of how it is. But that's what we need to do now, and that's what I want next season. I want to be in control and I want to feel comfortable in games. And I just don't think we've been comfortable in any games. Like, I gave the numbers in my last show, which was probably about a month ago now, and we spent 33% of this season in all games trailing behind in games. Like, we spent more time in the first 15 minutes behind than any other team apart from Sheffield United. And in the first 30 minutes, we spent more time behind than 17 other teams in the league. Like, those numbers are insane. But we spent so much time chasing games and trying to score equalizers and winners than any other teams in the top six. Any other teams in the top six. Like, like the last 30 minutes of all games in the Premier League, the top six teams were searching for the second goals. Like, we were searching for winners. Like, we were trying to stop them scoring an equalizer. Like, and we can't have that. Like, we shouldn't be having that. Like, we have a far superior team than the likes of Aston Villa, Manchester United, like Brighton, like Brentford, Wolves, Fulham, like Tottenham. We have a far superior team than any of them. Like, we have 5 strikers that all scored more than 10 goals this season. There's no other team in the Premier League. There's no other team in any 5 leagues in Europe that have 5 strikers that all scored 10 goals. But we sit here now and we're going to have a conversation about, do we keep Diaz next season? Do we keep Nunez next season? Like, that's insanity. Like, that's just insane that we scored more goals this season than any other league season than the one that we won the league. That's just a fact. Like, and we conceded, like, only the only team that conceded more goals, less goals than us, was Arsenal and Man City. And we're still sat here talking about our defence is leaky, our our forwards don't score enough goals. When that's just not true. Like, our forwards score enough goals. It's just we conceded so many in those moments and those games that we didn't score enough goals. So it's the moments and the time and the way we play our game, which is what needs to change. And it's tactical awareness, and it's being able to just shut a game down, and it's being able to just start a game well. And it's just like I heard someone talk about this on another show, and it really rings true. And I always thought I don't like this word that's been given to Nunez in he brings chaos. Like, because I don't associate the word chaos as a positive word. Like 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 in a team that presses high and plays very fast football in Liverpool and just Klopp's football, yeah, for the last 9 years, throwing chaos into that mix doesn't feel like it's a good idea, because you're playing the ball really fast, yeah, and you're trying to break the opposition really quickly, yeah, and you make your players run insane amounts of pressing, insane amounts of speeds. They are full pelt anyway, and they are in a position where they have to be perfect, otherwise the whole shape and the whole team play leaves you open, or it doesn't put you in a position that you need to be in. Do you really need to throw a Tasmanian devil into the middle of it? What's going to happen? What's going to happen if you throw chaos into a functioning structural system which has worked methodically for years and years under Klopp? Because it has. Like, the whole system with like Salah, Mane, Firmino, Fabinho, Henderson, Ginny, you know, it's all worked. Robbo, Trent, and then you got Virgil van Dijk and you got Matip. It all worked. Like, it just all worked. So, and Klopp hardly ever played any other players. So you've got all those guys just playing huge amounts of games, 50 plus games every season, and then you've got the other players that come in and do 20 games here and there, like your Gomez's and your Keita's and your Ox's and your Jotas and your Shaqiri's and Origi's and, you know, Robbo never got a rest for some reason and Trent never got a rest for some reason, but you've got those other players. And then you want to throw in craziness into the middle of it in Nunes, in Darwin, who just makes things chaotic. But then you also want to throw in more chaos in Diaz, because Diaz is chaotic. Like just a stat on Diaz, like Diaz has committed more fouls than any other player in the Premier League this season for Liverpool. Like he's committed more fouls than any other player in the Liverpool team. Like that's chaos. Like that's not good. Like a lot of goals we conceded this season are from free kicks and from set pieces. Most of the time, Diaz committed the foul. Like he did. Like he really did. You need to just watch them back. Like he's the guy that commits the foul. Nunes does it as well. Nunes commits a lot of fouls. Like because they're chaos players. They're chaotic players. They don't fit the structure that we've got as a team. And it shows. It shows evidently because Nunes doesn't score enough goals because he might not get into the right positions that help him score the goals that he wants to score. And maybe that's why he's not good at finishing, because he's not a good finisher from close range or from just inside the box. And maybe that's his problem. Like maybe he will never be good enough to be a finisher in the box. So we're putting him in a position that he's not good at scoring goals in. So maybe he needs to play further out. He needs to play on the left, and he scores, 20 yarders from outside the box. He scores more goals from shooting long distances or medium distances, and maybe that's where he scores his goals. Maybe that's his niche. And Diaz doesn't create enough. Like he doesn't create enough. He doesn't create enough goals. He doesn't cross the ball. He doesn't score enough goals. So you've got two players in two positions that have played constantly since they've been at Liverpool, pretty much. Like Diaz, to a certain extent, has played pretty much every game he can when he's been fit. And then Nunes, he's been out the team a little bit, like at the start when he got to the club. After he got that red card, and then he took a couple of games to get back in. And then at the end of the season, he's been dropped a bit. Okay, but he gets played pretty much most of the time. Yeah. So you've got a guy centre forward who can't score goals. I mean, he scored goals, but has he scored enough centre forward goals? That's the question. And I don't think he scored enough centre forward goals. I would say 20% of his goals have been real centre forward finishes. Then you've got Diaz, who doesn't score enough goals, and the goals that he scored seem to be from positions that he's not meant to be in. Like Diaz scores a lot of goals from the right-hand side of the box when he's playing on the left. So why are you on the right-hand side? For a start, like you're in a position that you're not supposed to be in, which maybe that's why he scores the goals, because no one's marking him because he's not supposed to be there. But he scores a lot of goals from the right-hand side of the box. Like 80% of his goals have been scored on the right-hand side. But he's a left-sided player. So he doesn't cross the ball and he doesn't assist enough. So you've got two chaotic players in a system which doesn't suit chaos, yeah, and they're not performing to the way they should be performing. Maybe they're in the wrong positions. Maybe they just can't play in the team. And then you've got a player who just floats around the team. So you've got chaos and you've got uncertainty all in this team at the moment, and it has been for like 2 years for me. We were absolutely shocking last year for like 6 months, and then we started playing a bit better because of Curtis Jones and Trent, and that's it, pretty much. That's pretty much it. And we didn't finish in the top four, and we didn't finish in the top four because Nunes didn't score enough big chances. It's just a fact. Arsenal, Man City, Everton, Crystal Palace, like Bournemouth, like there was a number of games where, oh God, he had so many big chances, just didn't score goals, just didn't score the goals. One-on-ones is what it is. Chelsea as well, just is what it is. And that's what Slot needs to work out. And Slot needs to come in and he needs to sit down and he needs to look at this and he'll look at videos. Apparently he's a monster at looking at videos. He needs to just look at videos and he's just going to look at the team and he's going to go, that guy's just not a striker. Like, he's not my striker. He's not my number 9. Like, and if he is going to be my number 9, then he needs to go away and he needs to work on finishing the ball in the penalty area because he can't do it. Can't do it. He can't get the ball in the net like a Jota, like a Salah does. He just can't do it. And we can't be having our main guy who has 107 shots a season score 11 goals and basically hit the goalkeeper 46 times out of those 107. 46 times he's hit the goalkeeper. Like, that's just insane. Like, that's just poor. It's really poor. Like, if you just look at, like, Jota didn't have 46 shots on goal, on target. Like, Jota didn't have 46 shots on target. Jota scored more goals. Like, Jota played 21 times this season. Like, he scored 11 goals. Like, he's had less shots, like half the amount of shots. Like, it's crazy numbers, crazy numbers. Like less than 10% shot conversion. Like you're breaking records for being bad in front of goal. Like, just take away the chaos from Liverpool, please. Like, I don't want chaos next season. I don't want this guy charging around like a Tasmanian devil, like never being able to control the ball properly, being offside constantly, like missing absolute sitters from open goals under the net, like one-on-ones all day long, like 5 shots a game, and you're pulling up numbers like what, 11 goals in the Premier League, 18 goals in all competitions. It's just not good enough. Not for the amount of chances that you've had. Anyway, Slot needs to work on that. And whether he takes him out of the team, whether he moves him over to the left, I don't know. But for me, just remove the chaos from Liverpool next season, please. Remove the chaos and remove the uncertainty. The uncertainty is inverted, and the chaos is Nunes and Diaz. Like, I love hard work, but you don't play up front because you're a hard worker. Like, hard work only gets you so far. It only gets you so far. Like, consistently running, consistently fouling, consistently tackling and pressing, that's all good. It's all well and good. But if you don't score enough goals and you don't create enough chances for other people, you can't be in a forward line. Can't be in a forward line. We're acting like we're Crystal Palace or Sheffield United or, I don't know, like a Burnley, where you're okay with people working hard and scoring one or two goals a season. Like, you can't be scoring those kind of goals. Like, you need more to your game. You need goals, you need assists, you need chance creation. Like, you need to be bringing bigger things to the table than just hard work and running and tracking back and fouling and tackling. Like, you need to bring other things to the game. If you're up front for a Liverpool team that are challenging for the title and challenging for cup competitions, you need to be giving me more. And you don't. And Trent doesn't. Nunes doesn't. Diaz doesn't. None of those players do enough. None of those players have done enough this season or the last two seasons. And I'm not even going to bring Gravenberch into the equation because this guy, like, he's had one good season when he was 17. He's 22 now. Like, I get it. I get it. I get it. You've got potential. Like, we were all given Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, and we're giving all these guys loads of stick. Like, this guy's on 140k a week. He cost us 34 million quid. He's been absolute garbage. He's been garbage. Like, he walks around the pitch. I've never seen him in a sweat. Like, he barely wins any duels. He barely passes the ball to the player next to him. Like, it's a huge amount of money that we've wasted on this guy. And we can all sit here and say, oh, potential, potential. Like, he was managed by two really good European managers in Thomas Tuchel and Julian Nagelsmann, and they both binned him. They both binned him. They both benched him and didn't play him. And we turned up and gave him 34 million for him and took that huge wage bill off them. And now he's with us. He's done nothing this season. Like I'd rather play Bobby Clark. I'd rather play an 18-year-old kid. Like, he works harder. He does more. Like, he scored a goal. Bobby Clark scored this season. Bobby Clark got an assist this season. Like, that's all Gravenberch has done. That's all Gravenberch has done. Gravenberch has done exactly the same. One goal, one assist. Like, and we paid 34 million. Bobby Clark cost us nothing. Bobby Clark came out of the youth team. Like, are you trying to tell me McConnell couldn't do a good enough job? McConnell came on against played in the Norwich game, got man of the match. Gravenberch played that game, by the way. Gravenberch was at fault for their goal, for the Norwich goal, because he wasn't marking the guy properly in the corner. Like, guy's absolute garbage. I've not seen anything in anything that he's done that's made me think that guy's going to be successful. And the problem is, he's in a team with a lot of eights, and you've only got two positions. You've got two positions under Arnie Slot. But he's not going to play in the double pivot because he doesn't defend and he doesn't work hard enough. And he's clearly not good enough at passing the ball. So what does he give you? He doesn't give you control. So you're going to be playing McAllister there, or you're going to be playing Curtis Jones there. And then the DM position, like, you've got Endo, you've potentially, Stefan Bacesic. Like, I genuinely believe Stefan Bacesic needs a loan. Like, I'm classing Stefan Bacesic as an under 21 player still. He's not played enough games to even warrant throwing into a first team. Like, the fact that Quansett and Bradley played as many games as they did last season was really not a great idea. Like, half a season under Joey Barton for Quansett and then throwing in for over 30 Premier League games under Klopp last season is quite insane. And, how he wasn't broken is beyond me. But it's done him well. He's been called up for England, and he deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. I just think that Stefan Bajcetic, like the game he came on, he was absolutely dreadful. Like when he came on against Tottenham, like we nearly lost the game. Like we conceded 2 goals like within like minutes of him coming on the pitch. He was chasing shadows. Like he just needs a loan. Like get him some game time. Like get some games in his legs. Like he's just not played enough football. And for us to be talking about him being a defensive midfielder next season, it's just crazy. Like we're supposed to be challenging for the league. Like we can't be challenging for the league with Endo as our only DM. Like we just can't. Like, and I've said this over and over again. If we'd signed Caicedo, we'd have won the league. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. If we'd signed a proper recognised DM who's got legs all day and has got the fitness and the capacity to play in the Premier League straight from the off, we'd have won the league. If we'd have signed Polina, we'd have won the league. If we'd signed Caicedo, we'd have won the league. If we'd have signed Alvarez, who went to West Ham, we'd have won the league. If we'd have signed Kepa and Thuram, we might have won the league. Like, I still think Kone or Thuram might have been a better choice. Like, Kone and Kepa and Thuram were the choices. They were the players which the committee wanted to sign. But, the guys just left wanted Endo, who's a 31-year-old Japanese international who no one had ever heard of. No one ever heard of. Like he'd literally just done a season where he stopped his team from getting relegated. I'm sorry, guys, but they sold him, and they got into the Champions League the next year. Like as much as we love Endo, that's what happened with their team. He left the club, and they got into the Champions League the next year. Like they replaced him, and they did 1,000,000 times better. I think we can do the same. I think if we replace him with Edison or I don't know, Hoyland, who plays for Sporting, I think we'd be in a much better place. I just do. Like we would be a lot better. Like we control games more, we'd win more tackles. I just think we'd be a better team. Like I'm not sure about Matt Sweefer, who the player who he's just had, because I'm really not sure about Dutch players in general. Like they don't fill me with a lot of confidence. They come with what is it? What do you call it? Like Dutch tax or something, where you just don't know. Endo's going to stay, but he's fine to be a squad player. I'm absolutely fine with having Endo in the FA Cup or the Champions League, like the group stages when we're playing some the bottom place team at home. Like I'm fine with that. But no, like I'm not playing against Man City or Arsenal or he's not good enough. Just isn't. Like it's just not. It's just a fact. Like it's just a fact. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of cover some of those things. I'm going to finish the show now, but I'll do another show early next week, and I'll talk a little bit more about tactics and players who we might be signing and who might be leaving. But I really wanted to just cover a couple of the players' contracts, which is obviously Trent, Salah, and Virgil. Virgil and Salah have already come out and said they're staying next season, so I would assume their contracts are being sorted out. But it's the elephant in the room, which is Trent McManaman, which has not said anything. And let's be honest, he's been on the news enough. Like he seems to be working for Sky Sports at the moment because he's just constantly doing interviews with them and presenting. Like I don't know, like, but we'll see what happens. Next season, I think it'll be good. I think we'll be in the top 3, and I think we'll all be surprised at how well Arne Slot does in the Champions League. He's got a good record in European competitions for someone who's only managed Feyenoord and AZ Alkmaar. So anyway, you have a good evening, everyone, and if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do, and I will catch you later. Up the Reds.